There are also a few other diets that work really well for people with inflammatory bowel disease. So the first one is FODMAP. You may have heard of that. It's very popular in the IBS community. Another one is the GAPS diet. That's the gut and psychology syndrome diet. A lot of people have used that, especially with kids. The next one, SC diet, the specific carbohydrate diet, which was popularized by Elaine Gottschall. That is another one that people have found to be effective. Lastly, something called a low residue diet. And if you look back over the recommendations I just gave you, they pretty much fall into the category of a low residue diet. However, if you are in a more extreme dis-ease state, you may also want to look at some more very tailored, perhaps more extreme diets. Let's look at the first one, a raw milk diet. This is something that's been used since the 1920s by the Mayo Clinic to induce remission in all kinds of diseases. Now, the milk must be raw, unpasteurized milk only. And of course, you want to buy from a supplier that tests rigorously to make sure it's clear of pathogens. The next one, right across from that, a raw vegetable juice diet combined with homemade bone broths. So this is great. It's very cleansing, it's very detoxifying, and again, the gelatin in the bone broths is strengthening. However, if you have diarrhea, you may not be able to tolerate any raw vegetable juices at all. So that's something you have to test and see if it works for your particular system. Keep in mind the diets that we're talking about right now are typically adhered to for only 3 to 6 or 7 weeks at a time. So they're not a lifestyle diet. They are just to get you out of a severe flare or a severe state of malabsorption and kind of get you rebuilt to the place where you can start introducing those, low residue or well-tolerated foods. So bottom left corner, a semi-elemental diet. So this is one where you use half your diet is a liquid pre-digested shake. We're going to talk about that more later. And the other half is just consists of low residue, well-tolerated foods. So these would be foods that you found yourself, your body tolerates well. And you can, kind of mix that up to make your day easier, but also get a significant amount of kind of a bowel rest because your bowel is not having to work so hard to digest and absorb nutrients. Lastly, there is a diet that I developed called the IBD remission diet. Now, this diet uses only elemental shakes, homemade bone broths, high dose probiotics, and targeted supplements. So it kind of hits all of the points to provide a healing spa for the body. You've heard me mention elemental shakes a couple of times now. What are they? What is an elemental diet? Well, the whole concept was first developed by NASA. They were sending their astronauts off into space, and of course, they wanted to come up with a diet that was fully nutritious but produced minimal fecal matter because remember, there's not a lot of room in that space capsule. So that's what led scientists to develop this pre-digested. It's kind of the equivalent of breast milk in that all of the nutrients are in the bloodstream within 20 minutes, a very fast uptake. So after that, in the 1970s, the medical community began experimenting with elemental diets to provide bowel rest for people unable to eat, digest, or absorb their nutrients from regular food. So again, the theory of this is, well, if it's boom into the bloodstream within 20 minutes and the fecal matter is just greatly reduced, it's very liquid and watery, that should provide the bowel with a break from the work of digestion and give it time and space to heal. And what do we mean by pre-digested? Well, here's how they defined these elemental food components. So first of all, you have your fats, which are cold pressed again, preferably organic. So you can use flax oil, You can use coconut oil. You'll often see this listed on the label as medium chain triglycerides, MCT oil. You can use hemp oil and fish oil, basically anything that contains lots of omega-3, very healing for the gut. Your carbohydrates have to be pre-digested already, so there is nothing more complex than a monosaccharide allowed. So your monosaccharide sugars, carbohydrates, include things like glucose, natural fructose, dextrose. The only other exception to that rule is maltodextrin, which is classed as a glucose polymer, and that is also allowed. Other than that, no other carbohydrates or sugars are allowed. Protein must be in the form of either a free-form amino acid or a short-chain peptide. So that's something like, again, we talked about whey isolate, or you can have a sprouted brown rice protein, but it is just the protein component with none of the rice carbohydrate contained. I have detailed instructions on how to implement an elemental diet, and more specifically my version of an elemental diet, in my book called The IBD Remission Diet. Again, this is a fairly extreme solution. You only want to do this if you're in an extreme disease state or if you are experiencing active bleeding from your small or large intestine, because it's very difficult to drink nothing other than liquids for 6 weeks or 3 weeks at a time. Well, I hope this video has given you some good ideas of the various options available to you. Remember, your body knows how to heal itself. Learn how to listen to your gut. Learn how to tune in, how to dialogue, and how to follow the instructions your body's given you. Get out in nature. Nature is incredibly soothing. We are meant to vibrate and resonate with nature. Take those pure natural foods into your body. Like learning a new language, it's only difficult until you develop some fluency and some systems around eating this way and having foods prepared and knowing what to eat when you're too tired to cook. Come on over to listentoyourgut.com and sign up for Jeannie's free gut guide ebook and podcast. Everything you need to start healing your gut is right here.